My ex-wife, 36F, still keeps trying to get back together with me. 36M and our daughters, 16F, want that to happen too. Doesn't really sound like a big problem, right? Yeah, well, while I wish I could just plain tell her to piss off and never bother me again, there is the matter of us having two daughters and sharing custody, so I can't excise her from my life on a permanent basis. Not without removing our daughters too. We married fairly early in our lives, back when we were 20, and we had been dating for 3 years before that. Our daughters were born in the very first year of the marriage, and there were some complications which meant my ex-wife would have difficulty conceiving again. Didn't matter to me at the time, because I was just glad she made it healthy and fine through the whole ordeal, and that we already had two beautiful baby girls to love and raise up. The marriage lasted for 9 years, ended when I divorced her for cheating. I have absolutely no tolerance for it, and I don't believe in forcing myself to suffer needlessly for shit that wasn't my fault to begin with. While this might sound incredulous to some folks, any love I had for my ex-wife was pretty much killed when I found out about her cheating and the details behind it. So yeah, this isn't a threat about me moving on from her. I've done that 7 years ago. Hell, I don't even hate her. I just don't give a damn about what goes on in her life unless it concerns our daughters. The problem is that it's only me that moved on from the whole thing. The ex-wife, her family, and even our daughters have kept trying to get us back together, even though I have made it plain for everyone that I have no interest of ever doing that. Me not dating at first for a few years after the divorce might have been giving them false hope, but I sure as fuck wasn't going to jump into another relationship so soon after. Not with our daughters to look after. They were my number one priority, besides my own issues which stem from the ex's cheating. Those issues, by the by, got resolved with the help of friends, family, and some counseling. So yeah, that's over and done with. I have no issue in communicating with our girls. None whatsoever. Anything else? They can understand it just fine. There's never been any fighting, no yelling, no nonsensical teenage rebellion, thus far, no tantrums thrown, and so on. Pretty great, right? Except this whole thing. They know about her cheating on me, and it was their mother, in fact, who told them about it some 3 years ago or so. I imagine she's been feeding them some kind of bullshit since then, and have asked her countless times to stop with it, that it wasn't helping anyone, that it only prevented them from moving on. But the ex-wife didn't stop. She apparently just got subtler about it. In all the years since we divorced, she hasn't dated or slept with anyone else. While I suppose she thinks that admirable, I don't. To be honest, I find it kind of insulting. When we were married, she fucked someone else, but now she's just fine going without sex for 7 years. Whatever, not that it matters. While I could ignore the occasional mentions of their mother, of how well she looks, of them showing me photos they took with her, obviously all dolled up for my sake, it's gotten worse lately. Why? Because I have a girlfriend. Clemence is not the first since the divorce, but she is the most serious relationship I had since my marriage ended. She also happens to be 8 years my junior. Before getting together as a couple, we knew each other for 4 years through a shared hobby. So basically, it was a gradual transition from being friends to being involved with each other. I can honestly say I love this woman. It was a surprise to me when I realized that, because while I didn't really want to admit it to myself, I was afraid for a time that what my ex-wife did to me damaged me on some fundamental level and rendered me incapable of ever truly loving someone else, like I once did her. Initially, my daughters had very little to say about our relationship, much like they didn't comment anything on the previous two I had post-divorce. But then they started coming home, ahead of the schedule we set up in advance, and they'd find me and Clemence together. Nothing compromising, not sex or anything of the sort. Then came the grumbling. Then came the, "Why is she hearing us?" question. Then came, "It's not fair to Mom what you're doing," as if I was actually doing this solely to spite or hurt their mother. So I sat them down and talked, and I talked and I talked, but they're just not getting it. They simply won't give up on this preposterous fantasy of theirs where I get back with their mother. Clemence, thank God, has been understanding and isn't upset by their behavior. She's basically saying to give them time, but I kind of doubt that will work. It hasn't so far, so I have no idea why more time would change anything. Anyway, since I'm really all out of ideas, I figured I might as well ask you folks here if any one of you might have an idea how to handle this. Is there even a way, an approach of any sort, that could work on my daughters, realizing I will not, under any circumstances, get back with their mother?